Hello and welcome back for our next art lesson. Boys and girls, we have been working with details and patterns and connecting our details to words in our story. And we're doing this with purpose, okay? We're learning that things are connected intentionally and that sometimes we want something to look far away or close to us. And there's a way that we can do that with purpose. We can make it happen. So by changing our lines, changing our shapes, changing the sizes, adding details or having less detail, we can create these effects. Well, color, boys and girls, is also something we can use with purpose, okay? So we're gonna start adding color, all right? And it is an element of art, okay? Remember that the blue words are elements of art. So we've been talking about shape, we've been talking about lines, space, okay? We've talked a little bit about texture. We're gonna go into color, okay? Now, the red cards, remember, are principles of design. There's pattern down here. So we're gonna be talking about pattern, maybe a little contrast. All right, so first of all, let's talk about where color comes from. Where does color come from? Okay, well, it comes from light. And you may have learned about this before. This is how a rainbow is made, right? The light shines through the water and it refracts the light, kind of breaks it, okay? And it lets all the colors out, so to speak. So if you want to, you can think of it as those colors are hiding in the white light, all right? And here's a color version of that. This is one of the reasons why when you in the summertime, they say you should wear light colored clothing because they reflect more of the colors off of the clothing, whereas dark clothing absorbs the light, which is basically heat, right? So that makes you hotter, okay? The color you see is the color that's bounced back to your eye, okay? So if something's white, it's reflecting all the colors back at your eye. So you can see how that works here. So all the colors are reflecting off of white. So you only see it as white because it's all the colors, okay? And then black, it's absorbing them all. It's not bouncing any back. So it's a little bit complex. We won't go into all that right now, but that's kind of how your eye sees it. You're reflecting or absorbing colors. And that's how you see the colors, all right? All right. Rainbows, notice how in this rainbow here, there's no black, brown, or white. We just talked about where the white is, right? And where the black is, absorbing and reflecting. Brown is another one. Brown, we'll get to that in a minute, okay? But brown, black, and white are what we call neutrals. It's a family of color or a grouping, and we're going to talk about groupings of colors. There's a rainbow. I also just wanted to touch on this a little bit. And if you did not know that rainbows are actually circular, we always seem to draw them like this, but that's only part of it. We don't see the whole thing because usually the earth is hiding it, right? Like the trees or the hills, we just can't see the other half of it. It's actually a circle, which makes sense because colors really shouldn't be in a straight line like I did here, okay? With my markers, I laid them out and this is why. I want you to see, here are the neutrals, okay? So let's just put those aside for a second and just put them in their own little group over here. Those are neutrals. But look at the rest of these. We have the reds and the pinks over here and the purples over here. Well, purple and red are connected. Okay, they're not at opposite ends of a spectrum or a line. There's no start and stop when it comes to colors. They're continuously turning from one to the other. All right, and let's look at why. Here's my color wheel. So there's purple and there's red. Okay, so first let's go back to the beginning. Let's see, we have red, we have blue, we have yellow. Notice how these are the three colors on this first triangle. Okay, every colorway usually has two triangles. Here's the first one. These are the first colors. If you can see, this triangle is only one layer. We'll see how this one has two lines. So this is one. Primary is first, it means first. All right, so we have primary colors. These three colors you have to have. You cannot mix them to make them. There are no two colors I can mix to make red. And same thing with yellow and blue. However, I can mix those colors in different combinations to make all the other colors. Okay, so going back to our rainbow, if you have red at this end and you have blue, well, the two of them together make purple. So there's red hiding inside of purple. So purple can't be at one end and red at the other because there's red inside the purple. They're near each other, okay? And here we go with another one. Here's red and here's yellow. When you mix them together, you get orange. So inside the orange, what two colors are hiding in there? Red and yellow, okay? And then same thing, we can keep going around the circle. You have yellow, you have blue, and together they make green. So inside of green is yellow and blue. Very good. Those are called secondary. Those are our second group of colors. Okay, secondary. Now, the last group you see here are the ones that are floating. They're in between these colors, but they're not on a triangle. Okay, those are called intermediate colors or tertiary colors. They're used, both those words are used. All right, and those are the colors in your crayon box that usually have two names, like red violet, like this one here, or blue violet, blue green, yellow green, yellow orange, or red orange. Okay, they have two names. And if you can guess, that's because they're made with the colors next to them. So here's red, here's orange. You mix the two together, you get red orange. Okay. All right. So primary colors, secondary colors. I don't have intermediate colors. What we're going to focus on right now are cool and warm colors. All right, cool and warm colors. Now, this side of the color wheel with the blues and the greens and the purples are cool. Now, the colors on the ends get a little tricky. Those are the ones that like to trick you. So this one is yellow green. So if you look at warm colors, you'll see yellows right there, right? Yellow, orange, red, with red, violet being on there. Those are warm colors. But what about the red, violet and the yellow, green? Those two are kind of tricky because you have the other color. You have yellow, which is a warm color in there. And then in red, violet, you have red and violet, right? Violet's a cool color. So you're going to have to be careful with those. You're going to have to look to see, is it more green or more yellow? And this is tricky, boys and girls, because some of our eyes see colors differently. All right, you see colors a little bit more stronger than somebody else. So this is the rule that we're going to use. Yellow green will be a cool color, all right, because it is a little bit more green. All right, and then red violet will be a warm color because it's a little bit warmer. It's a little bit more red. Okay, I think the rest of the colors are pretty easy. And I'll put a copy of these pictures in Canvas for you so you can see those. All right, and so here's an example using warm and cool color groupings. Okay, now we tend to associate different groups of colors with different emotions and places. So I think of very calm things when I think of blues and purples. I just think of peaceful things, calm things. Or I also think of sometimes cold things, right? Like a cool ocean water or snow sometimes, okay? Or the greenery, like a nice warm field, or cool breeze. And then you have the warm colors, which tend to be fire, sun, happy, energetic, right? Bold, powerful, okay? Red can also be angry. So we tend to associate these colors. So we're gonna do a little practice with our colors in a project. This one's for kindergarten. You guys, first and second graders, are going to create a warm side and a cool side. Okay, so I want you to think about something you associate with warm colors and something you associate with cool colors. I want you to divide your paper in half. Now I did mine on a diagonal. You don't have to. You can divide it in half any way you want to. It could go straight down the middle. It can go across like this. It's totally up to you. So the next thing I want you to do is to draw that object on each side. Can you tell what I did? I did the sun and the moon. Okay, and I made it simple. We're not going to draw realistically. We're going to use our patterns to show all the different colors for those groupings. Okay, and this is what I mean. So for the sun, I used warm colors. So I started using different combinations of yellows and oranges. And then I added some orange. I already had orange, pinks and reds. And look how I changed the lines. I made new patterns. Remember, we're trying to do more complex patterns. We're making them detailed and more interesting. And so then you can see each row, I added a different pattern and added and mixed up the colors differently, but they're still all warm colors. And then I did the same thing over here, except you guessed it, I did cool colors. I even did stippling with this one. That took me a little bit while, but it was kind of fun. I liked putting all the dots together like pointillism. All right. And then I added each row. I made a pattern of the rows going around, but then I made patterns within each row. So I have cross hatching, I have stripes, and then I have the spiral. Okay. All right, so divide your paper in half, divide your colors, sort your colors, look at what they're called, because that might tell you. Now, some colors are tricky because they're not labeled pink or yellow, green, right? They're labeled macaroni. Macaroni is like an orange yellow, so that's going to be a warm color. What about turquoise? Turquoise, like Miss Parker's name, turquoise is a mixture of blues and greens. So it's going to be a cool color. All right, so you got to watch out for some of those colors. You're going to have to be, they might be a little bit tricky with their names, and you're going to have to look at that color wheel and match it and see which one it goes on. Okay, all right, boys and girls, have fun.